those of you tuning in, my name is Cyndi Wish. I work for Baltimore Clayworks. I'm here in conversation with Marguerite Woods, who is a student, a teacher, an artist, a mentor, all around inspiring person in general. And Marguerite, I think, as we talked about, at Clayworks, we're just really trying to find ways to keep ourselves inspired and keep each other inspired and keep our students inspired. So I thought it would be fun to talk with you a little bit about your path to clay and to art and to being an artist. And so you said your first experience in working with clay as an art form was while you were in India. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I would love to. That was actually in 2011, and I had an opportunity to spend time there. And during that time, I actually was in a workshop that included putting my hands in the clay. And before then, of course, I knew about pottery and that kind of thing, but, not particularly inspired to do anything with it. But that particular workshop, when I put my hands in the clay, I just felt such a sense of inspiration, and it was so soothing to me that I made a mental note that when I came back to the United States that I would look for a beginner's clay class, which I did. And that began this beautiful dance and romance I have with Baltimore Clayworks. And it actually started pretty interestingly because I'd heard about Baltimore Clayworks, and so when I got home, I called to see if I could get a class, and everybody that I spoke to after finding out I was blind would pass me on to another person. And I realized that, they were not ready for me. So I just sort of let it be for a little while, and as it turns out, I was speaking with a friend, and she just happened to mention that there was a clay class in a community center in Baltimore called the Zeta Center. And I followed through and was able to get into that class, and I met my first Baltimore Clayworks teacher, who was a woman named Salah Jenkins. And that began, my experience with clay, and it's been quite a journey for me. Salah had never taught a blind person before, and so we had to create a way for it to work out. And we were successful at doing that, so much so that I created several pieces that actually look like what I intended them to look like. And
what were you making? I had a lot. What did you make in Salah's class? What were you working on?
I started off with a bowl, of course. That was her first instruction for me. And fortunately, that bowl survived the kiln, and I still have it. So that was just truly amazing that I actually created something that turned out and I could actually use it. And since then, I've made several pieces. Oh my goodness, it's quite a plethora of things. So would you like to see some of them? I have some of them here on the table where I'm sitting.
Yeah, I would love to.
Okay, let's see if we can zoom in. Because I'm totally blind, I'm not exactly sure what you'll be looking at. So
all right, I'll try and help. I'll see, yeah.
Okay. All right, let's see here.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. So you've got a pyramid that looks like a candle holder of some sort with the stars and the moon on it. I see a mug. I see a cylinder. I see a tile. I see a couple different bowls.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to move around a little bit and maybe you can see more.
Yeah. Those look great. What is that? It looks like some creature. It's on my left right now. It's purple. It looks like it has eyes. I'm not quite sure what.
Oh, okay. This is actually a vessel. Very interesting. that you can probably put any kind of liquid or oil in that you like. And it has a little top to it. And so Salon loves something called channeling. And so I did channel all around, using the clay and just letting it sort of free flow around the piece. Can you get a good sense of it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Nice.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Did you make those mugs too?
Let's see. I made this, which has got the potpourri in it.
Yeah.
And that's also got some channeling around it. And let's see what else is on this table. Now, I'll get back to that, but let's see what's over. So here is, I got a chance to do some mosaic, and this is an owl, an OWL owl. I don't know if you can see that well.
Yeah, I see it pretty well.
Yeah, okay.
And then that cylinder looks like it was made in Mia's class. That looks like one of her class projects. It's a cylinder.
Oh, yeah.
Like a vase with white slip on it,
yes,
maybe?
Yes. Yeah. So I can use this as either I'm thinking a vase or even a cooler for a bottle of wine.
I like the way you're thinking.
Yes. Yes.
So tell us a little bit. So, it makes me a little bit sad to hear that Clayworks wasn't ready for you when you were ready for the organization, but I think it's a good indicator of growth for the organization, or I don't really know what. I was happy that I met you. You were working in the Clayworks classroom and in Mia's class. So
yes.
Can you talk about how you came to that?
Yes, I will. And I just want to mention that I think because Baltimore Clayworks had not had experience with teaching blind individuals, I think timing just worked out perfectly well. I was desiring it, and clearly Baltimore Clayworks decided to be open and, step up to the challenge, just as Salah Jenkins, who was, like I said, the first instructor that I met. And so everything starts somewhere, so I think it's a beautiful beginning, and I've seen so many beautiful things as a result of the first class, and I anticipate and I'm eagerly looking forward to many more adventures and creations between the blind community and Baltimore Clayworks. So I think it was perfect timing, actually.
Yeah.
That's how it feels too. Yeah. And so Baltimore Clayworks has, I'm not sure exactly what to call it, but they reformed. They dismantled and then reformed. And as a result of that, I got to talk with Nicole. And so through Nicole, I let her know that I work with the National Federation of the Blind and actually president of one of their chapters, which is called the At-Large chapter. And so because we're working with people statewide who can't necessarily get out to a physical meeting, a lot of times we take advantage of an opportunity for the people that can come together to meet each other, because we talked on the phone but never physically had the opportunity. So I wanted to have a workshop. So what happened is I talked to Nicole and to find out if Baltimore Clayworks would be willing to come to the National Federation of the Blind's headquarters, which is where we were going to have our meeting, and do a afternoon workshop with us. And she thought that would be a great idea. And that's when I first met Mia and Anna Maria. And they were the two instructors who came, and we had a wonderful afternoon. And it was about maybe 8 to 10 of us, and everybody really enjoyed it. And that started the relationship between Baltimore Clayworks and the National Federation of the Blind. And many workshops and opportunities have resulted since that time.
Okay, so that led to you, we were or personally, I just thought it was so amazing and opened so many doors for us that you came and did a workshop for our teachers in how to instruct blind people in clay. Can you just tell us about that experience and how it
Yes.
went?
I met Robin Marquis, and she and Anna Maria, we were just talking and about my experience and what Baltimore Clayworks was after in terms of being an inclusive opportunity for people, of all walks, and so wanting to be, even more diverse. And so the idea came up that maybe it would be a great idea to have an evening workshop with some of the teachers at Baltimore Clayworks and talk about instructing blind people to work with clay. And I was very excited to be able to be a part of that. And, as we were creating the workshop, it became very apparent to me that part of the process of helping teachers to do exactly that was to have a practical experience. And so because I'd never had experience with throwing anything on the wheel, I thought it would be a great opportunity for the teachers that attended to sit me down at a wheel and give me some instruction on how to actually throw clay on the wheel. And so it turned into quite an experience for us all. And just the conversation of talking about what the experience was like and to have that practical experience, I think just really made a great impact and a huge difference in understanding that when you're working with someone who does not have vision and you're trying to help them create that vision in their mind, the communication that has to take place is in itself as creative as the clay you're trying to throw, is how I see it.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. So then that led you to V&A's class.
Yes, it did.
Taking a full throwing class with a full group of students. And you worked on the wheel for what, 6 weeks, I think?
Yeah. Actually, the first class was 8 weeks, I believe. And so that was amazing for me, a whole new learning curve. And I'm sure for V&A as well, and he handled it like a champ from my perspective. He really helped to inspire and encourage me and show me how to create what I was after, per his instruction. And, it's funny, I think everybody's seen the movie Ghost at some point.
Of course.
So that's such a romantic idea of throwing the clay, but let me tell you.
I know, we all think like Demi Moore, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it continues to be, an endeavor. I'm definitely on the learning curve, but it's exciting because every faux pas is a part of how I find my way to getting, exactly what it is I'm after. And so I really do have a sense that, the times that I veer off are as valuable to me as the times that I get it right. And so that it helped me to be more deliberate about getting it the way I want it. Mm-hmm. And so I was talking to Matt one evening. He was asking me how it was going. And I had just looked over some work that some very seasoned wheel throwers had created. And I was so fascinated with touching them and feeling the preciseness and it was just so beautiful. And then I'm thinking about, the pieces that I'm making. And it was like, okay, so I've got, quite a journey ahead of me. And so Matt just put it all into perspective. He was like, you've been here for what, 8 or 9 classes, and they're 3 hours. And so it's like, 24 hours of instruction, and these people have been doing this for years, and himself included.
Right.
And it just really just helped me to just, really put it into perspective and appreciate, what it takes to get to the perfection that I was able to witness, and be able to also enjoy it along the way, and not make the destination the goal, but the journey towards the destination is. It just helped me to be reminded of that, if you will.
I think clay is the perfect medium to remind people of that. Mary always says, you make something you don't like, you just wedge it back down and start over.
Yeah.
Sort of the perfect example for making mistakes or decisions or executing something in the wrong way.
Yeah. Or keeping those things that you didn't get exactly what you were after, but they sort of help you appreciate, when you are more skilled, you really get to a sense of that. And I've got a couple of pieces that I made in VNA's class that I don't know if you saw them when we were looking around, but can I show you those?
Yeah, please do.
Yes.
Oh, that's.
Yeah, so I made both these pieces.
In your first throwing class, you made those?
Yeah, in my first throwing class.
That's
and I'm just
impressive.
Yes. And so I was very pleased with that, considering how I first started off, my very first class. And so I was to come up with that. And so I'm so happy to have it so that I can, have a gauge to really let me in on what my skill level is becoming. Yeah. So, yeah.
So Marguerite, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I'm curious. Two questions. It's a two-part question.
Okay.
One is, what is keeping you inspired during these times? And two is, what can Clayworks do to be of help or to inspire you while the studios are still closed?
Good question. I've kind of been thinking about that. For me, I'm such a, it's so tactile for me. And visual piece. I listened to, BNA sent me some clips during our class time, and I listened to those YouTube clips, even though I can't see what's going on. I hear the process. And when I was in class with him, I could go back and try it out and then get him to sort of guide me to create whatever it was I was trying to do, or at least practice a particular skill. And so listening to those things does help. But I have to be honest, I do miss the opportunity to put my hands in it, because it's like it me started, but I don't have anywhere to land with it. And so I guess what I'm having a sense of, because I get your emails, that you all are looking for ways to provide this opportunity to people in as creative a way as you can. And so that's inspiring to me. I just haven't quite figured out, how do you continue to be creative with clay when you can't see it? You can't, because I am on the learning curve, get my hands in the clay. And I don't have a studio at home, so I don't get a chance to really practice. So I do miss it. I miss it quite a bit. But I guess for me, realizing that you all are doing your best to get the place opened up again so that people can come in is what keeps me, hopeful about being able to come back. And I know that it won't be exactly the same, but I was in a learning curve and kind of brand new at it. So the not the same won't be too difficult for me, because all of it is kind of new for me anyway.
Right, everything's different. Yeah.
Yeah, so everything is, and so this, this new curve is part of the newness, but it's it doesn't feel any more unfamiliar than the rest of it for me. So I'm eager about coming back to do something with the clay.
We're eager to have
Yeah.
you back. We're so eager to be back open.
Yeah.
But also sort of this online thing, I don't think it's going to go away. So we're trying to figure out some hybrid model
Yeah.
of how to teach in person and teach online. And then we're going to have a discussion group on Friday afternoon. I'll make sure I invite you to it. It's called Clay at Home. And it's just going to be with a couple of artists that have set up at home clay studios just in their kitchen, you know, with a little table, and what they've encountered and what they've run into and what works and what doesn't. So if you're interested in that, I'm always curious how people do it. You know, we have artists who've sent us pictures of their wheels in their kitchen, and you know.
Yeah, I am interested, and the other part is I'll continue to think about it and open myself up for any inspiration that comes my way that might set off a light bulb or something. And you've always been open to receiving my feedback, so I would definitely want to share that with you. And even the fact that you called me to do this talk with you is inspiring, and not just for me, but for many people, and especially people dealing with disabilities that leave them limited in some way with one of the five senses. And knowing that you're open to finding ways to allow people to experience the clay no matter where they find themselves, with their with those senses, because I think that there's creativity everywhere you can find it, and it's just a matter of being open to having it have a path to express. And it starts with a desire to do that, and we can feel that places and people are open to allowing us to discover what that is, because it's definitely a discovery. I feel like a pioneer in a way, because I'm going down paths I've never been down before, finding out if they work for me, and inviting other people to do the same, because my path and my experiences are unique to my sensibilities, but everybody else has that same opportunity, and they'll come up with other ways. And I'm excited for people to discover what they are. There is no one way to it. And I hope that becomes really clear and, eager and exciting for people to discover on their own.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to share with the larger, I don't know, social media, website, Clayworks community?
Yeah, just that, diversity is king. And that means in all realms of life. And there's something beautiful about it wherever you find it. And so be open to having the experience, and know that it's a gift when you have an opportunity to delve into the life from a different perspective than where you may be already. And that it just will enhance and expand who you are and what you're capable of. And it'll bring more joy and beauty to what your life is already about.
I agree. I think it's kind of like, this is going to sound drastically oversimplified, but it's kind of like the difference between community and cult. Is that?
Oh, yeah.
Is that, I know that's probably not the right word to use.
But I understand what you're saying. Sometimes we think we only want to deal with, like-minded and similar. And that sounds like a good idea, but, and it's not a bad idea if that's what you want to do. But the greater idea is to engage in the diversity and see what you come up with that becomes more than the individuals. It's a summation, and it's bigger and more beautiful, and more opportunity. and more creativity that you may not have even been aware is possible, but you get to see it when you have that experience. And it's about experiencing it. Just thinking about it is the way to get started, but having the experience does make a difference. And I think V&A and I have had an experience, and it's expanded me, and I would venture to say that it's expanded him as well. Yeah.
That's wonderful. I know it's expanded Clayworks on a whole, so we're grateful for that.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I thank you so much for inviting me to do this, and I'm looking forward to, all the beautiful and wonderful things that come of it, and doing more with you all.
We're looking forward to it too, and thank you so much for taking the time again.
You're welcome. So look what I've learned. I've learned some great stuff.
I know you new Zoom tools now.
Yep. Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, we'll be in touch as things, as things change and evolve, or we'll just be in touch. As the studio starts to reopen, I'll make sure I keep you involved in the planning of that. And then, we can always do things like we're offering curbside pickup for clay and tools and things like that. But if you need a delivery, we can organize that as well. So.
Oh, okay.
So if you if you need a bag of reclaim, let me know. We'll get one over to you.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. All right.
Have a great day. Thank you so much for talking.
You're very welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
All right. I'll talk to you soon. Okay. Bye.
Okay. Bye. Bye.